Hi everyone, this is Kathy Grosskirth with Bookkeeping Clean and Simple, and I am on week 5 of my QuickBooks Online 2023 Recertification What You Need to Know series. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. We have already covered sections 1 through 4, and we are going to cover sections 5 and 6 today. New training on reports and forms, and new training on period in activities. I will have the links to all the previous videos in the description, so check those out when you can. Also, like and subscribe to my page and share it with others if you would. Let's go ahead and get started on section 5. I'm going to go ahead and click on here to enter that area. And basically, when we're talking about what we need to know for new training on reports and forms, and this is basically training that they have revamped, and a lot of this stuff is stuff you probably already need to know. But here are the major topics in here. Where can you run reports, summary and detail reports, other report types, running quick reports, and adding a custom field to sales forms. We're going to go ahead and scroll down, and it's talking about where can you run reports, and you probably want to go through all this training to see where you can run reports and how you can access the report area. So that's what they're talking about here. Summary and detail reports, you probably need to know the difference between those and each of these little areas. If you click on those, you'll be able to find out a little bit more deep dives on those. You need to know what information can you get from a summary report, what other summary reports are available, what info you can get from a detail report, how do you run a detail report from a summary report, and when should you use a summary report versus a detail report. So any of those areas are open for questions on the test. You also want to deep dive into these other report types. You've got your list reports, and they'll talk about those, such as the account list or product services list. You also have the area on aging reports, where you go into detail about AP aging detail and AR aging detail on that, all that kind of thing. Special reports. This is where they talk about the business snapshot and the audit log. So keep these areas in mind, the business snapshot, and they're going to talk about the audit log quite a bit as well. And you'll also want to remember the audit log when we talk about section 6 later on. And so you also want to know how to run a quick report, and just deep dive into these areas right here. How do you run a quick report from the chart of accounts? How do you run a quick report from the products and services list? And how do you run a quick report on a list name? So you want to know all those areas. And you also want to know how to add a custom field to sales forms. So you want to go through each of these topic areas. How do you create a new custom field in QuickBooks Online Essentials and Plus? How do you create a new custom field in Online Advanced? How do custom fields appear on forms? How many custom fields you can add? You need to probably know that. And how do you use custom fields in reports? So that is the end of section 5 right there. So a lot to kind of go over. So we're going to go back up here, and we're going to switch over to the area 6 in here, which is the new training on period in activities. So for the new training on period in activities, they've revamped this stuff as well. But what you'll probably want to do, and it looks like there's a lot of stuff, and some of the stuff you probably already know, but they have done some revamping to some of this other stuff. They've also added a new feature called Books Review. So you want to know all you can about Books Review. Make sure you understand all the information about Books Review. You also want to revisit the training on the Reclassify Transactions Tool. You want to explore that, and you want to know what those limitations are, setting a closing date and password. You also want to understand about the exceptions to closing date report and running that report. So I'm going to go ahead real quick and show you that you want to use the Books Review. You need to understand how to do that, the purposes behind all that, and it talks about all those. So what tasks can you do from Books Review? And you want to also be clear what you cannot do. And here are some of the things that you cannot do with the Books Review at this time. So you want to understand all those things right there. Using the Books Review Center for troubleshooting account balances. You want to make sure you click on each of these individual tabs right here to understand the different sections and what they're for. the transaction review tab, the account reconciliation tab, and then the final review tab. You want to go through all of those and understand those things. And then the Reclassify Transactions Tool, like I said, they've revamped some of the training on that. So you want to know how to launch it, which you go into the Reclassify Transactions from the Accountant Tool Center, like they show here. And then exploring that and understand all the little sections and what they're for. You can do some filtering and kind of re-honing in on certain transactions that you want to focus on and actually utilizing it. There's a little video here you can watch along with the steps that you can look at here and see what those are. I'm not going to go through all this, but this is stuff you need to go through. You also need to understand the limitations, so go through each of these sections to understand what are the limitations on the data you can change, what types of transactions can't be reclassified. I'll go ahead and click on those so you can see. There's quite a few of them here. I'm not going to list them all, but you want to make sure you understand what can't you reclassify and why you can't, okay? And then also, how do you know which transactions you can reclassify? And basically, when you use the modify filter to change accounts, you only see transactions for which the account can be changed. So you just go through each of these sections, understand what those are, because you'll probably get asked questions on any of that. Now we're going to skip down here to set a closing date and password. A lot of people do not use this, but myself, I find it very helpful, especially if you have clients who like to go in there and change things after you close a certain period. And you don't have to do this at the end of the year. You can do it at the end of the month. You can do it at the end of a week. You can do it whenever you want. And basically, I recommend that you have clients that do that. If you have clients that do that, go ahead and set a password so that way they will not go in there willy-nilly changing things that they shouldn't be changing things. So it talks about all that. And then what your client should consider when setting a closing date, all those things. You want to make sure that you understand those things. And can you change a transaction dated on or before the closing date? And it talks about all that too. And then there's also a report that is generated when you set a closing date. And you won't be able to see this report unless you set the closing date. So make sure you understand all that. It talks about all of this in this training right here. So if you remove the closing date, then you will no longer see that report. You'll only be able to track changes that occur after the new closing date was set. So if you end up changing the closing date or just alleviating or removing the closing date, you will not see that report anymore, and it starts again from scratch. So make sure you understand that. So, and then also it talks about running that report once you've set that closing date, and you can watch the video, and you can also go through these little steps in here that shows you how to do that. So basically, let's go back to our main page here. And that's basically all I have for you today. The next section that we're going to be doing is step 7 or section 7. And this is such an important topic. I want to spend all my time by myself on this, or by itself on this, so that we can deep dive into this, because this is something that Intuit is wanting to make sure everybody knows about this new migration tool. So we're going to spend a lot of time on that. Anyway, hope y'all have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone. We will see you soon. Thank you for watching. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and share it with others. My goal is to publish at least one new video per week on QuickBooks Desktop or online topics, the occasional motivational video, and a few surprises thrown in here and there. I would love to talk to you about how to help you optimize your knowledge and usage of QuickBooks Desktop or online. My Calendly link is in the slide. Please use that to reach out to me to schedule a free 45-minute initial consult. I would love to talk to you about your QuickBooks Desktop or online training needs. Again, have a wonderful day, and until next time, we'll see you soon. Take care.